Hey guys, Adam here. It's been a while since I've posted anything to this channel, mainly because I just haven't had anything to post about. But I do today. Today we are going to talk about the Precision Sim Engineering Pro Switch panel. It is a mouthful, but it is a very cool box as well. So full disclaimer before we get started with this video, with every product I review, I do insist on paying for it, but I also need to note that this is my second Pro Switch panel. This is a production version. I have been a beta tester of this for the last 9 months. The beta version is mounted on my rig still. It has been there for 9 months. It is not coming off anytime soon. Let's just go ahead and switch so you can see it. Mainly because I am very picky when it comes to button boxes. I have had probably 8 or 9 button boxes in the last 3 years, and all of them were always good but not great. I've even tried using my Stream Deck as a button box, and that was kind of the best solution I had found to that point. But then I started racing more and then eventually permanently in VR, and the Stream Deck did not work as a button box for VR racing. I fumbled, I was hitting buttons that I did not need to or want to hit, and it caused some problems. I'm no longer racing in VR, but that's a different video. But the Pro Switch panel then came along, and I spent 3 solid months racing in VR with this, and I had no issues after about a week worth of testing, we'll say, to get the muscle memory trained, and it has been beautiful ever since. I absolutely love this. So real quick, we'll talk about it. 4 columns, 5 rows, all LEDs, backlit, can be controlled by ChromaWorks or SimHub. Given the choice of the two, SimHub. ChromaWorks is nice because you can set static colors, but I don't want static colors. I want the ability to control these things with some of the telemetry that's available via SimHub, so I can have these LEDs illuminate or not, or change colors depending on what's been selected. There's a lot of things you can do with that. And when you purchase this unit, you do get 2 sort of default profiles. Yope, as well as myself, had a lot of input in those 2 profiles. The default road one is very close to what I am running here today and have been running for a while. The oval one is one that I spent a lot of time testing and tweaking. The oval one I actually run exactly as you see it in the instructions and the LED profile you download, because my oval wheel is a 14-inch MPI oval round wheel with no buttons on it. So I run that Pro Switch panel LED profile exactly as it is. It's very cool to have, because it gives me everything I need for racing oval without having to have any buttons on the wheel. So we'll go ahead then and dive into this a little deeper, but before we do that, let's open the cool box. There we go. It took a moment. All right, so once you get the lid off, I'm not going to show you the back of the lid because it has the serial number on it. You are greeted with decals, 210 decals to be specific. And what's really neat is we didn't get all of these decals during the beta test. We got a lot, but not as much. And what's really cool is because the beta testers were able to give a lot of input. We've got, for the IndyCar guys, I'm sorry, it's iRacing, I can't say IndyCar. Oops, I said it again. Weight jacker, front and rear ARB adjustments if you want to map those. You can adjust your basic traction control, you can adjust your camera. We got decals for everything in here. Got decals for specific cameras. We've got decals if you're going to use this to control Discord. Yes, you can control Discord with this button box. It gets a little tricky sometimes to do. Maybe I'll post a specific video on how to do that. But even if you're just going to use this for basic car controls, ABS, TC, whatever, we've got all of that right here. But I like to use it for controlling my pit macros. That to me is far more important than those in-car adjustments, because I can do those either on my wheel or via the black box. But once you get the decals out of the way, everything is very neatly placed. Over here on the upper left, excuse me, we've got 2 T-nuts, which are perfect for your 80/20 rigs. We've got bolts. We've got then 2 bolts with corresponding nuts and the Allen key back here. If you are going to purchase the optional ram mount, which I highly recommend, if you're going to do VESA mount, you've got Allen wrench and 4 bolts for that. USB-B to USB-A. This is a 6-foot cable. I'm not a fan of USB-B, but it works, so we'll leave it at that. And there's the brand new Pro switch panel that will very soon be mounted on my rig. Go ahead and get it out of the styrofoam here. This isn't styrofoam, this is foam rubber. It's much nicer than styrofoam. So there you have it. The back, your USB-B connection, your mounting plate, 6 knurled thumb nuts that are super nice, super grippy. I love that. And some of you are going to ask, why is it that the USB-B connection is sticking out of the back? Well, because look at how thin this is. This is actually just one single PCB with all of the buttons and the 2 funkies attached to it. So there's no wiring in here. Now, if you're going to do something like that, obviously you do have to make some sort of compromises. So you can make the case thicker. But why do that? You could maybe do a shroud around the USB-B, but again, I don't see a reason to do that. I've had this, the beta testing unit is exactly the same on the back for 9 months, and not a single issue with this USB cable. The other thing that you get is the ram mount. You don't get this directly. This is an option to purchase with it. I highly recommend that you do, just because it allows you to really fine tune. If you've never seen ram mounts before, you just kind of unscrew this, and then you've got these 2 ball mounts. One will mount to your rig, the other side to the Pro switch panel, and you can really fine tune where this gets mounted. There's lots of flexibility, far more flexibility in here than any other button box mount I've ever seen. In fact, these are actually designed for mounting things for automotive purposes. So I've actually got the Pro switch panel, the Stream Deck, and a custom mount that I designed and 3D printed for my 10-inch grid DDU back here that uses 2 arms, all mounted with this, and with the motion rig running at full tilt, nothing moves. Absolutely beautiful. I love it because it stays where I need it to stay. And then even when racing in VR, that I still do from time to time, I can just know that, boom, there's my button. And I feel fully confident that I have hit what I wanted to hit. Now, these buttons are controlled via SimHub, and I'm going to show you real quick how I have mine set up. Let me grab my wheel here. And we'll walk through my setup. This is my personal setup for road only, and then we'll talk about the other 2 default profiles. We'll dive into SimHub and we'll take a look there. So enter, exit the car, turn on the ignition. We'll start to see some of the lights come on. Now the starter I've got bound to my wheel. With road cars, I tend to find that having all of the in-car adjustments and things like starter and pit limiter on your wheel is much nicer than having them on a button box. Now you notice down the side here, these are just static colors because these are things that I don't really change much, so I can leave those as static colors. We do have this fun little feature right here. This doesn't actually turn off the LEDs. You can map this to be a function in iRacing or ACC, however you want to do it. But this is actually a really cool bit of code that Yope wrote as part of the LED profile that just basically sets all of these LEDs to black when you push the button, but doesn't actually turn them off. For me then, I've got mute voice chat when it gets rowdy, delta and marking the telemetry, tear-offs for open wheel, wipers for the cars that have them, and eventually that'll turn off the wiper. maybe. Okay, there we go. All right, lights and rain light for ACC, escape or pause in ACC, and then my ignition right here. And of course, like I said, starter is mapped to the wheel. Volume control for iRacing, so I can turn that down if I can't hear the people I'm talking to in Discord voice chat. Display to cycle through my dash that I have up there on SimHub. And then these are the 6 most important ones for me, because those are my pit back rows. Now you're going to watch as soon as I cross out of the pit line that those are going to change. So because now when I've left the pit lane, the black box is set to change 4 tires. This one goes green and it's set to refuel. That one turns purple just because that's the color that I have chosen to set it as. And what I want to do now is now I've cleared all the tires. So if I do have to go home for a pit stop, let's say we're doing a 40-minute IMSA race, I can clear the tires. I don't need to change them, but I do still have fuel set. Now this is mapped to iRacing's auto fuel option that we got with the 2023 Season 2 build. And then this one right here, I can adjust how much additional or under fuel the auto fuel is going to calculate for. Clear that, no fuel. Now I know at the corner of my eye that if I do happen to need to pull into the pit stop, let's say I'm in the Porsche Cup here, it's a sprint race, so no pit stop needed, but I've had an incident and I need repairs, I won't take on fuel or tires because those 2 are red. But if I do need tires, out of the corner of my eye, I'm able to hit that. Now because this is mapped to auto fuel, in a practice session, it does nothing because iRacing doesn't know how long the session is going to last, so it can't calculate how much fuel I need. But in the race, it does come in super handy. All right, so let's go ahead and hop out of the car real quick because there's no need for us to be in here any longer. Now, I will talk about the 2 funkies. This one is mapped to black box in iRacing at all times, regardless of what I'm road or oval that's mapped to this. This one, having the second funky, I have it mapped to camera controls. So fast forward, rewind, up and down is previous and next car, and rotating takes me to different camera views. Huge thanks to one of my teammates for introducing me to what to do with a second funky switch, because he had been using that on one of his turn button plates for a long time, and it's absolutely amazing because with the dash right there, I can't see the replay controls in iRacing because iRacing still won't give us the option to relocate them. Please, iRacing, win. That's all I want. Just let me move them to a different monitor or move them up to the top. But thankfully, I've got it right here, and I can rewind and fast forward and switch cameras. In fact, here, I'll show you. We're going to rewind. We're going to pause. We're going to play. I'm going to switch cameras. I only have one car on track, so switching cars is kind of pointless, but it's all done right there, which is really cool. Okay, so let's go ahead, take a quick moment, jump into SimHub, and we'll talk about the 2 default profiles as well as how to customize it to your own liking. Something I forgot to cover real quick before we jump into SimHub. Hopefully this shows up on camera. At the top of each button here, see there's a little ridge. It's hard to see here, and if you're viewing this on a mobile phone, you're really going to struggle to see this, I think. I have the wrong lens mounted on the camera to really zoom in and show it, but you can really kind of see it here too as well. You can see where like the coloring on each of these buttons is slightly different near the top, and what that is and what I'm hoping to show here is there's a little ridge that runs all the way across the top and about 0.5 millimeter down each side. So when you're taking one of your decals here and you want to line them up to ensure that it's perfectly centered, all you have to do is take the top of the decal, kind of slot it into that ridge right there. You've got a left and right side to get you aligned that way, and you've got a top to keep you from going too far over, and then you just lay your decal down, and it is perfectly centered. It is absolutely an ingenious method. The other thing I will tell you too about these decals, because I have added and removed and repositioned They come off very easily. I can slap my fingernail under here and I can just peel one of these off. The adhesive that's on here, you don't need any adhesive remover, no goof off, no goo gone, whatever it is you would use to get that off. Just take your thumb, just kind of a little bit of pressure, just swipe down. You'll see the adhesive will start to ball up. You can grab it, pull it off, boom, you're done. It comes off completely clean and you can go ahead and put the next decal on. And the reason I say to use your thumb and not any adhesive remover, because you can't see it, but underneath the escape decal here, the first time I pulled off the decal that was originally here, I tried to use some adhesive remover and it caused a bit of a reaction with the old adhesive that was on there, and it didn't really come up using I forget if it was Goo Gone or Goof Off or whatever I was using. It never really pulled the adhesive up. It just kind of smeared it around in there, and so eventually I got frustrated and I took an X-Acto knife and I tried to scrape it off, and I caused a little scratch into the button, but that's entirely on me. That is no fault of the design. The design is so well thought out that yeah, you don't need adhesive remover. Just if you pull this off with your thumb a couple of times, just swipe it down, the adhesive will ball up whatever's left over on there, and you can just pull it off in one little swoop and you are good to place your next decal on. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to SimHub now. All right, so here we are. I've got SimHub up. When you've got your device connected, all you got to do is go into the Devices tab. You're going to hit Add New Device. When you hit Add New Device, you're going to see it down here in the menu, Precision Sim Engineering Pro Switch Panel. Go ahead and click Add. I've already got it done, so we are right here. But now, this is my current profile that I just walked you through. We can see here that really it's just an animation. It's a 4x5 grid, and you can set the colors for each individual light that way. But to go ahead and import one of the default profiles, we can just go into Profile Manager. This is similar to the way it's always been done in SimHub. It's just in a new location, sort of, because now it's under each individual device. We're going to import the profile. Slide this over here real quick. I'm going to find my profiles, and I'm going to import the oval layout profile. There we go. And now we can see that it has popped up. Precision Sim Engineering Example iRacing Oval Layout. This is the default one that you get as part of the download, and it's now loaded. So now you can see down here this bottom animation. This is the kill LEDs, or I can't see it behind my monitor. Sleep mode is, I guess, what it's being called. So sleep mode is just a bit of code that all it does is it just blacks out all of the 20 LEDs behind each of these buttons. So if we keep it activated, it's there. It works. If we push it again, boom, it's on. So now if you want to change any one of these colors, all you have to do is figure out which function it is you want to edit. Go ahead and open them up, open up the animation. And so this is when formula is true, start button. So we'll look at this formula real quick. Engine is on and engine started equals 0. Wait. Oh, ignition on. I'm sorry, I couldn't read. Ignition on, but engine started 0. So this one will be red. But if you wanted that one to be pink, you could grab peach or pink or whatever color this is and just go ahead and click on it there, and then it will change on your device. I prefer red for that. But that's it. It's all that simple. And if you wanted to add more effects, right now there's already flag animations built into here, so you are good to go there. If you wanted to add spotter effects, you could easily do that, but there's a spotter overlay already done for you. So there's really, with this these default profiles, they're a really solid starting off point. I don't think if you're gonna, maybe customize this a little more to suit your needs, start with one of the default profiles. Think about, your decal layout and what it is you want to have mapped here. Go with the default road or default oval layout. And what's really cool is, before you even do that, let me open this up. This is part of the manual, and you can actually see example oval profile is listed in here in the manual, and it even tells you what to map or what macro to put into your iRacing settings menu so that you can have all of these things working as intended with the default profile. So they've really thought of everything in here with this button box. So it's a really nice step up from just something that is buttons, that is backlit. Being able to control this via SimHub, so that if you're adding 25, 50, or 75 liters of fuel, if you're going to use this as part of your default profile, being able to see that out of your peripheral with a light on the button box itself on the Pro Switch panel is really cool. It's very helpful to have. I know I said it's cool a lot of times. The instructions also walk you through ChromaWorks. I'm not going to do that because I just recommend going right to SimHub, how to mount the unit itself. And that's really about it. That's all I'm going to talk about for today with this thing, because it's super cool. But I think more people need to get their hands on it, need to play with it. I am going to mount up the second device, and I'm going to maybe think about and come up with some sort of hybrid version of both the road and oval profiles to be able to have, two of these on one. It'll be nice because I can have one for volume control for iRacing, one volume control for Discord, and they're right there at my fingertips with my right hand. I can just take it off the wheel and go ahead and hit what I need to hit, all just using my peripheral vision, which is where that SimHub LED control comes in so super handy, because I know I need to hit the red button for X, Y, or Z, and I can reach over and just hit the red button, and without even having to take my eyes off of the track. So that's it. That's all I've got for today with the quick review of the Pro Switch panel. If there was something I missed in this review, leave a comment down below. I will try to get to it and answer it when time allows. And until then, be cool to each other, and I will see you in the next video.